Now we're going to look at the URL and the query string modules. So first we'll look at URL. So let's bring that in. And there's basically two main methods that I want to show you, and that is parse and format. So URL.parse. This will give us pretty much anything that you can get from a URL. So let's say const my URL, and we'll do https example.com/listing. Let's do question mark ID, say 1000, and we'll do an ampersand and say premium equals true. So maybe it's like a premium listing or something. All right, so what I want to do is run that URL through parse. So let's actually, you know what? Let's set it to URL.parse and then just pass that in, and then we'll console log my URL. So we'll run this with node, and the name of the file is urlqs. And you can see the object that we get back has quite a few things in it. So protocol, slashes, if there's an auth string, host, the port if there is one, the host name, hash if there is one, search. So basically everything after the question mark, so the ID and the premium, the query, which is everything after the question mark. This one includes the question mark, query doesn't. The path name or the page, the path, and the entire href. So it splits it up and gives us everything that it can about the URL, which can be helpful. So the next method I want to look at is format, which takes an object and returns a URL string. So it's almost the reverse of this. So let's say URL format, and say const my URL2, and I'm going to set that to URL.format, and now this takes in an object. So I'm not sure why that's crossed out. It's not deprecated. I'm not sure why that's crossed out, so just ignore that for now. So we can specify like the protocol, HTTPS, and let's say the host. So we're basically doing it backwards, what we just did. So www.example.com, path name. So path name will say listing, and query. So query is actually an object where we have, in this case, we'll have ID 1000 and premium true. So I'm basically creating this URL using this object. So let's see what we get if we console log my URL2 and we run this. This is what we get. So we just reversed what we did up here. We get https example.com/listing. We have ID as a query string, and then as a query value, and then premium equals true. All right, so now let's look at query string, and query string has a parse method as well. So we're going to look at that. Let's say query string dot parse, and we have to bring it in. So let's go up top here and say query string. We want to require query string. So I'm going to create a query string, and what I mean by a query string is something like this, right, where we have these values or key value pairs. So let's say const q, we'll call it q, and we'll set that to query string dot parse, and let's pass in here. Actually, you know what? Let's create a variable first. So I'm going to say const my QS and set that to, let's say, year. So year equals 2023, ampersand month equals January, and let's do day, set that to 20. All right, so that's my query string, and I'm going to parse that. So let's pass in here my QS, and then let's console log Q. All right, so what I get is an object that has these fields in my query string as key value pairs. So I have the year, the month, and the day. And if I wanted to get a single value, then of course I could do like Q dot month, and then I'd get January. So that's parsed. Now we can use stringify to convert an object into a query string. So let's say query string dot stringify. So the way that this works is we can create, let's say, my QS2, and I'm going to set that to query string dot stringify, and then we'll pass in an object, and again, it's basically like the reverse. So we'll say year 2023, we'll say month January, which that needs to be a string, and the, what else, day, we'll say 20. So now let's console log my QS2, and we should get a query string with those key value pairs. So this can come in handy when you're dealing with a lot of URLs that have a lot of data inside of them, so you can quickly get that data. You can just create it into an object and use whatever you need from it. All right, so now in the next video, we're going to look at the HTTP module. So that'll probably be the longest video of this lesson because it's used for quite a bit. We're basically going to create a little server that can accept requests, HTTP requests. All right, so we'll get to that next.